My mother-in-law Beatrice once told me at a Christmas dinner I was like a good foundation, invisible and meant to be stepped on so the beautiful house could stand. She said it while wearing a necklace that cost more than my college tuition, a debt I was still paying while working 60 hours a week at my husband Julian's real estate firm. Julian didn't defend me. He just sipped wine and told me later his mother had a sharp wit, and I needed thicker skin to belong in their world. I didn't grow thicker skin. I grew a plan. For 3 years, I was the invisible force behind Julian's success. I was a licensed architect and certified project manager, but on the company website, I was just administrative support. Julian claimed it was better for the family brand if he was the sole face of the empire. He told me when his father retired, we would be partners. But when the time came, Julian didn't make me a partner. He gave my office to his younger brother Marcus, a man whose only qualification was his last name, and told me I should focus on starting a family so Beatrice could have a grandson. That was the day the foundation started to crack, but not the way they expected. I began by auditing the books for Sunset Towers, the crown jewel of the empire. Julian and Marcus were so arrogant, they didn't even change passwords to the financial servers. They thought I was too busy looking at strollers to notice millions leaking out of the construction budget. As I dug, I found the rot. They weren't just skimming money. They used a shell company to buy subpar, non-fire resistant cladding for the entire building. They were pocketing the difference. I had nearly $12 million while building a literal tinderbox in the city center. I didn't go to the police yet. I knew how the wealthy worked. They'd hire a lawyer, blame a contractor, and walk away clean while I ended up in a ditch. No, I needed them to put their names on the line. I spent the next 6 months being the perfect wife. I went to the brunches, I listened to Beatrice talk about how my commoner genes were finally being put to use, and I even helped Julian draft the final safety certifications. I told him I'd handle the digital filings to save him stress. What he didn't know was that I filed those documents through an encrypted portal that logged the IP of his personal computer every time he approved a fraudulent safety report. The night of the grand opening gala arrived. The building was draped in gold lights. You and the city's elite were all there to toast the visionary Julian. Beatrice was in her element, telling everyone she handpicked me to keep Julian grounded. Julian stood on stage, taking credit for the architectural design I had actually drawn. I couldn't have done this without my support system, Julian said, looking at me with a smirk. To my wife, for keeping the home fires burning while I built the skyline. It was my turn to speak. I walked to the podium, looking every bit the lucky wife in a dress that cost exactly what Julian had stolen from the budget that month. Julian is right, I said into the microphone. I have spent a lot of time thinking about fires, specifically the fire safety ratings of this building. The room went silent. I hit a button on my remote, and instead of the promotional video, the giant LED screens began scrolling through the private ledger of the shell company. It showed wire transfers from Julian's personal account to the supplier of illegal cladding. It showed emails from Marcus laughing about how the peasants who bought penthouses would never know they were living in a fire hazard. As of 20 minutes ago, I continued, these documents were delivered to the district attorney, the fire marshal, and every major news outlet. And because Julian insisted on putting the building entirely in his and Marcus's names to protect the legacy from a potential divorce, I am the only person in this family who doesn't have a legal liability for this disaster. Beatrice tried to scream, but the sound was drowned out by the sirens of police cars already pulling up to the valet stand. I walked off stage. Ark handed Julian my wedding ring and whispered, "The foundation is gone, Julian. Let's see how well your house stands now." I walked out of the gold lobby and into the night. I didn't just take his company, I took his freedom. And as for Beatrice, I bought the debt on her beloved estate through my own private firm 3 months ago. Next week, I'm turning it into a shelter for women who need a place to stay while they rebuild their own foundations.